Personal story segment tonight with opinions about Hillary Clinton set in stone in many cases. Is it possible for her to persuade doubters to vote her into power? Joining us now from San Diego, Kirsten Powers. Little play on words there. Okay. So Hillary Clinton, first woman ever to secure the nomination of a major party. She's going to be speaking a little bit later on. But negatives very, very high. Everybody knows her. Is it possible, in your opinion, for her to persuade people who don't really like her to come on over and vote for her? If so, how?
Well, yes, she can persuade people to vote for her. I don't know that she can necessarily persuade them to like her. And I think that good news for her is that she just has to be more likable than Donald Trump, who also has extremely high negatives. And so if she was running against a different person, it might be different. But I think that they pretty much cancel out each other out in terms of their negatives.
Then what about the stay-home factor, though? See, I'm sure I was surprised on how quickly the polls tightened up after Trump won Indiana. You know, it's a tie right now. I mean, people are looking at both of them. And Hillary Clinton's going to need to persuade people to vote for her. And I'm not sure how she does it. Do you have any suggestions for her tonight?
Well, I mean, one of the things is that you have to remember that the number of people who are actually persuadable voters has just been shrinking. It's a fairly small number of people, even among independents. They're mostly independents leaning Republican or independents leaning Democrat. So what ends up happening, what you saw with Trump, was that people sort of rally behind the person who represents the party that they identify with. And I think you're going to see the same thing with Hillary. I think initially you're going to have Sanders voters who are upset, but probably ultimately will come around to her. Her problem is, of course, that a lot of these voters are young, and those people don't tend to turn out unless they're
I'm
excited.
thinking the stay-home factor here is going to be very high. And remember, Mitt Romney lost because of the stay-home factor. Because, you know, 3 to 5 million Republicans and independent-leaning people just didn't show up. They didn't like him, and so Barack Obama benefited greatly from that.
But don't you think that's possibly going to happen with Trump as well? I mean, look what's going on with him right now.
I think it's going to be a lower turnout, although there are a whole bunch of new voters engaged now in this race because of the populism of it. But you haven't given me any suggestions, and I thought you might have one or two, for Secretary Clinton to say, okay, look, I got the nomination now. So now my strategy is to try to persuade people that I'm not really all that bad who don't like me. I mean, her supporters love her, but...
Because it's not, because she's not, you can't, she's been in public life for 30
there's nothing
years,
she can
40
do.
years.
Magic tricks?
Well, no, I don't think there's anything she can do to make herself more likable, but I think she can convince people that she's the best person for the job, that she's the most experienced, and that she's better than Trump, which is what she has to do in order to win. She doesn't have to convince people to like her.
I still think that in any election, the likability factor elected Barack Obama. I'm positive of that. I mean, 8 years ago today, Hillary Clinton conceded to Barack Obama, and I covered that race, and and Obama won because people liked him more, not because he was more experienced, or not because he had a big difference in ideology. They liked him because they looked like a better guy.
You're oversimplifying, as you often do, Bill. I think that it was more complicated than that. There were a lot of reasons people voted for Barack Obama, and it wasn't just because they liked him. But like I said, it doesn't matter because Donald Trump isn't well liked. So she's running against somebody who has high negatives just like her, and so it cancels each other out.
But one of the two are going to have to get those people who are, few of them, I concede, very few, but there are still who could go either way, and they got to try to get them. Kirsten, thank you as always. Plenty more ahead.